So I'm Cynthia Simmons.
Hi,
You know me
Cynthia.
on Twitter. I'm at Sim Sings Jazz.
I'm Angel Adams. I'm at Angel's Adventure on Twitter. I was like, what else do I say there? But yeah, I just followed your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the social singer. The thing to remember though is this does apply to more than just singers.
Right.
It's a business thing. And what I learned when I started singing was my singing thing was a business. And I have learned that lots of my jazz singer peers have not figured that out. So,
Which is what threw you way to the top.
it moved me faster than most of them. And some of them are trying to figure out, why are you everywhere?
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I utilize this. I utilize social media. I only pulled up Facebook and my blog, but I do use Twitter as well. So, and then Angel and I are going to talk about how we use it and what we do and how we socialize with it.
Right. You know, as far as I go, I was in a band called Eric and the Atoms for a little bit. We disbanded. I guess we haven't really done anything for the past 3 years.
The crowd goes,
right. But we all kind of decided to split and do a solo thing. We're all still very good friends, so it wasn't anything bad. Yeah, I mean, what we did was take something that was virtually nothing and decided that the only thing that was keeping us between our fans, or who we would hope to be fans, was a relationship. So that we decided that the best way to do that would be through social media and finding platforms that suited us. So.
And I did the same thing. I'm not a Tulsa native, and so when I moved here 6.5 years ago, I used social media to meet people, and then when I started singing 4 years ago, it was, how am I supposed to build fans in a city where no one knows me?
Right.
Because the people that knew me were this big in a city that's, say, this big, and so I started using social media. In fact, the gentleman that played for me last night, I met him on Facebook. We were commenting in the same stream.
That's awesome.
His name was Scott at that time, and he put in the middle Tulsa Jazz McQuaid, and I just wanted to listen to jazz. I didn't want to sing it. So all I did was send him a friend request because I wanted to listen to jazz. He accepted it. Life was good.
Mm-hmm.
And we started talking, and I said, well, I love to sing. I've been singing since I was little.
Tot. You were a tot.
I was a tot. And I was that kid in the church choir in the little bitty robe that would get up and do this at the microphone. That was me. So then I was the kid in the choir. I was the choir geek in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And so singing was natural. And I had always wanted to be...
Facebook message.
Booty call.
What does it say?
It just says, hey, Sin.
Yeah,
So
social
here I
media
am.
makes it social.
I am very social.
I wish. Well, I don't wish that on you. No, you said booty call. No.
The hazards of having your Facebook up. Fortunately, I know who that is, and that is a longtime friend.
Well, then be careful, because if they've known you, they might just pop up.
That's why I
Just give you a hard
immediately
time.
answered. Busy right now.
Yes. Yes.
So he answered very quickly, okay, talk to you later. So, life is good. And sometimes I don't put my messaging on because people immediately do message me. I'm very active on Facebook. And if you guys, any of you are friends with me on Facebook, you know that. Angel knows that.
Oh, yes,
We're friends
yes.
on Facebook.
Yes,
so.
yes.
I'm not as busy on Twitter, although I did meet someone on Twitter as well. If you know Tulsa Jazz or John Taylor, that's where he and I met.
Oh.
I know, right?
I didn't know that.
We met on Twitter.
Wow.
I'm hopeful.
That's
So,
awesome.
and there's your story of the day. But I needed to be able to take a jazz career that was just starting in a city where I didn't know anybody and make it move quickly. And I used social media to do that.
You know, another way, and I'm just going to kind of follow up on Cynthia right now, is the fact that when she does things, and of course you guys know that I talked about graphic design yesterday, but what Cynthia does well is brand herself. and she uses great photos. She makes sure that the photos, you know what's interesting too, she doesn't take a bad photo, so that's also very nice.
You're very kind.
But you know, when people
Life is
post, life is good. When people post about her, they talk about, one, her talent, two, this is actually, and I'll be honest with you, when I talk about Cynthia, it's this, but really it is her image that she's created for herself. She did all of that on social media,
Yes.
in a town where no one knew her. And when
That
I
is
say
exactly
no one knew her,
Yes.
no one knew her. And from, how long have you been in Tulsa?
6.5 years.
6.5 years, went from nothing to one of the most sought out jazz performers in town. And I'm not even talking about like little jazz. I'm talking, she's been to the Hall of Fame. She sings at the, it was the Depot building. That's
Yeah,
Hall of Fame, right?
where the Jazz Depot is, the Oklahoma Jazz Hall of Fame. That's where I started, actually. That's where my first show was. And then Chow, which was open on Peoria, that was my first club that I got to sing at. And from there, I've done Smoke, I do Main Street Tavern once a month out in Broken Arrow. This Sunday, and that's what this event is, I will be at Tallgrass Prairie doing brunch again. And you guys, if you know where the Blue Dome Diner was, you know where Tallgrass Prairie Table is. That's the easiest way to let people know. And I do this with both my personal page and with my professional page, which is Sensing's Jazz. I also have a blog, which I pulled up. If I can find the mouse. Where's the mouse? Where's the mouse?
It's right over here.
There's the mouse. Side up where I want you. Didn't get in far enough. Hold on. We're going to fight the computer and do it was working.
Well, she pulls it up though. She utilizes a lot of different platforms. What I like about her is that she is consistent through all of them. What happens is if you just happen to see one thing, for us as Eric and the Adams, the band, we try to do the same thing. Like if there was a poster downtown that would tell where we would be playing next, that poster is going to match everything online. And that's what kept people, and caused recognition. So that, now that you're on there.
Right. This is my current poster that you see everywhere. My current picture you'll see everywhere. Now, I'll tell you something I did, and I've done this twice, and it has been one of the best investments I've made in a career, is I paid a photographer to take pictures of me.
Yeah.
I've done it with two, and I've been blessed to get two wonderful photographers. And so I go, I fork out my cash. It's tax deductible, okay? Write it off.
Yeah.
But it's worth it because I get a picture like this. I told Tiffany when I took this picture, I said, I need a casual picture of me where I still look like I'm a jazz diva.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Zach. And so I did not want to wear that many pearls to the SMTULSA conference, but I thought that might be a bit much. It's kind of an after five-ish look, but I needed something that popped. And you know, I also have a great hairdresser where I can call her and go, hey, I'm taking pictures.
Right.
Can you make the hair do it?
Right.
And she does. So that day I had good hair. And I could do this with. It's an abundant day. It's part of my incognito look is what Lauren calls it.
Yes.
But I use this picture a lot. It's on my business cards, which are I tucked back in here. When I ordered new cards, when I ran out of the older ones I had, I picked a business card even though at the very beginning that was a silhouette of a face and a lady with pearls singing.
Consistency.
It was consistency. I picked an image and I stuck with it, and then I built on that image.
Yeah.
And I've had people question that image. Why do you always have an image of you dressed up? And I said, because that's who I am. I had another challenge, though. What I do between 8 and 5 is very different from this. I am a human resources director at a nonprofit between 8 and 5. So for 40-ish hours a week, this is not my look. I needed to be able to transition between those, I have mastered going from business professional to jazz diva in the car.
In the car, yeah, exactly.
I have been in the car. I have gone into my office, switched clothes, touched up my makeup, and walked out and had my staff go,
yeah.
singing tonight, son?
But that's the thing, like what she's been able to do, exactly what I said earlier. One, she has great images, fantastic images that she knew from the get-go she needed to pay for. Because that's really, I mean, honestly, you get what you pay for.
You do.
So, I mean, unless you have an extraordinary friend who's going to do you right. But she has branded herself with fantastic images, and like you said, pearls from the get-go. This even goes back to the guy who spoke earlier. She had a strategy. Like, she had a plan before the whole thing started to unravel.
Right.
And not unravel in a bad way, but before her career started to just go. So she knew pearls, and I tell you what, there's one more thing that I always think of, and we cracked up about this at lunch the other day. Every time someone mentions Cynthia Simmons, I think the color red. And that, she did that to me. It was, I heard the snicker, but she did that. She has made that happen, pearls and red, and to me, in my mind, I go straight to her because of the way that she has used every platform possible to promote herself. And it's brilliant. She's been brilliant.
And so I do this. This is simply a WordPress blog. That's it. That is all this is. The picture that you see behind it is still a picture of me. I didn't use a fancy background. It's a picture of me that's laid behind it. If you scroll far enough down the page, I start to show in the background. That was one of the sexy black dresses.
Right.
Sometimes when I'm dressed like that, I don't care where you look. But you can see, and I honestly, I am busy enough not to have time to post daily to this, or even weekly. So what I have mastered is, when I know what my gigs are for the month, or I'm pretty sure of it, at the beginning of the month, I sit down and I write one blog post. And I make it cover the month. For Valentine's Day, this was what was going on. We had the Tulsa Gridiron going on, so I advertised that. I knew Valentine's Day was coming, and I had 2 gigs before Valentine's Day. I had the 12th and the 13th. I didn't want to work on Valentine's Day. Every other jazz singer in town was. I let them have it. It's like, you guys can do that, I'm going to go and hang out with my sweetie in another city. I'm tired.
Yeah.
That was my philosophy. I didn't want to work. And people said, were you working on Valentine's Day? I said, I'm not. What? I don't want to. And I know that's like sacrilege for a singer, especially one that sings love songs. I had the 12th, and I had what's also known as National Side Chicks Day, the 13th.
But you know what you did? You took a section of the month that people needed as well, so they could go out with Sweetie when they couldn't make it out on the.
And I had more couples say, we are celebrating our Valentine's today because.
Right.
Now, I've worked in industries that do operate 24/7, and so I know nurses don't always get Valentine's Day off.
Right.
Doctors don't get Valentine's Day off. There are people that have to work on that day. Police officers don't get it off. And so sometimes you're celebrating before or after the day, and you need somebody who's willing to stand there and tell you, sing When I Fall in Love, sing Embraceable You, and all those wonderful cuddly love songs. And that's what I did. It was great.
Well, I think that's what makes you successful, or makes people successful, is to be able to. It's almost instinctively, like you know that people's lives aren't always going to be the same. So you get to know your clientele, you get to know your audience. You know that, for instance, man, when you talk about nurses, like they're some of the hardest working people out there, 24/7. You know that for me, for the band I was in, the idea was we don't want to be just the band for the party crowd on Friday night. We didn't want to be that. We wanted to be the guys that also got to be booked for the family shows, for the festivals, for the carnivals, for the churches, for the pride events. I mean, anything possible that we could be booked for. So if you're only playing Fridays and Saturday nights, or not, I guess not even thinking about opening yourself up to other crowds and other people, you're gonna get stuck. You won't climb. You won't grow by any means. Super important to realize that there are more. It's the same thing when they said earlier today. Don't just think 8 to 5 or think your time zone. You got to think globally. So you got to think outside the fact that, well, maybe, if we just thought Tulsa, we wouldn't have gotten anywhere.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Here's something else. You guys remember hearing about this and all the sessions that we've had? I have all these on purpose. One of the things I had to learn to do, remember I have 2 divergent careers going. I had to learn to link them both together. Because my initial reaction was, one's here, one's here. But the reality is they all live in here. You should see the filters I have to use over. So I had to learn to blend these together. And so I do put my LinkedIn out here. And on my LinkedIn resume, you'll see that I'm a jazz singer. And I actually had a headhunter call me once and comment on that and how he was so pleased to see that I'm such a diverse person. It's like, score?
Yeah, right.
And so again, I'm using a social media platform and it's still promoting what I do. I always try and come up with something catchy here on the blog. This was when spring had teased us very briefly and then all of a sudden it blasted cold again.
Rude.
Yeah, it was really rude. I demand a spring is kind of where I was. I saw a meme that said that I demand a spring and a sun and I want it now. And that's kind of where I was. It was a cat that was this deep in the snow and yeah, that's where I was in that moment. So, that's how I came up with that. I've got pages so that when people do come to the blog, if you need to quickly know where I am, I want a mouse. Where is Sin singing?
Very good. That's the home page.
No, the home page is
Oh, okay.
the first page, but this is the page that tells you where you can find me singing. But in every blog post, it tells you, don't forget to go check this page. Because this is going to tell you where I am any time in the month. And I update it monthly. And if I have 2 months worth of dates, do you know what I put out here? 2 months worth of dates, because people plan. Especially when they become of a certain age.
It's true.
I learned that as the older I got. The older I get, the more I want to plan. Especially if I'm coming in from out of town. And so I keep it out there where people can still plan. And no, I've got a page with videos. Because people want to, and they're my YouTube videos, because I don't have a CD yet. If you guys would like to invest, crowdsourcing soon. But people want to know what I sound like, because not everyone has heard of me. Even contrary to what people say. They're everywhere. No, I'm not.
But that's because she knows how to use social media. I mean, she looks like she is everywhere.
I do put pictures in my post. And I was thrilled with what I've been hearing because I'm like, hey, I'm doing stuff right. Score. I learned a lot, don't get me wrong, but it was nice to be reaffirmed as well. I do use pictures. I have a link to each of these places. You click that link, it's going to take you to Main Street's website. Very good. This one will take you to Tallgrass Prairie Table. And when I had any other restaurant, I take you to their website. Because you want to know what their menu is. You want to know what their hours are. Maybe you're not going to come when I'm there, but I'm still going to advertise for them because they have employed me for a short time to be a part of their organization. And so I'm going to promote them as well.
Right. I think a lot of times if you just really look at yourself and think, I mean, this is what I did with my band, and this is what worked for my band, was I thought, okay, we are musicians, we want to make money. And we want to do well, and we want to be known, period. That was our goal. So what we did was we started talking about musicians that we liked. And then how we responded when we were on a website. And it's exactly like she said. If we posted a venue and said we were going to play there, if I'm looking to go hear live music, and someone posts where they're playing, and I try to click it, and I can't, immediately frustrated. because I want to know how to get there. I want to be able, I mean, I'm really ridiculous sometimes. I'm going to Google Earth that thing and find out what parking's like. I want to know all of that because I want a good experience. So that was one thing we did. We linked everything that we could link that would make it easy for our fans to get there, to know maybe something that they didn't know, which
or that we can't answer. Because I get questions all the time. Is that a kid-friendly restaurant? I don't always know.
Mm-hmm.
Here, link on my site to their site. Mm-hmm. You'll be able to look at pictures and determine if your child can function in that environment. Because whereas I might have been able to take my kids at that age, I don't know what your kid is like, baby.
Right.
I can catch mine with the looks. Now, yours may not be like that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So this is my current event that I have out there. That picture always has to be there. Any picture. This one happens to match the atmosphere in Tallgrass Prairie Table, which is why I use that one. If I don't use that one, I use the one that's tiny over there in the corner. That's on my business cards. Because it's the one that people look at it and they immediately know that that's me. Before that, it was the one where I was in a black dress and it was very, very
attractive.
That's a good word.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what I'm here for.
You're the funny man. The other thing I do here, and you can do this, is I again tagged the restaurant. And to do this, you put the @ symbol before you start typing. So again, people on Facebook that are here are going to be able to click and go straight to Tallgrass's table. Their menu is there, their hours are there, their phone number is there, everything is there so they can get more information. The first thing I had to learn when I started doing Facebook events is to ignore this. Do you know why?
Because it's not true.
Because it's not true. If these 8 people that say they're going show up, I'm very happy. If any of these 5 maybe show up, I'm even happier. But if none of those 13 people showed up, and I did math in my head really good.
I'm very impressed.
Then okay, this is advertising for me.
This usually means no. This
Exactly.
usually means more. Just a FYI. Maybe's almost will all. I mean, I'm just telling you.
No,
Maybe's
it's the truth.
mean no. Maybe's mean I'm going to tell you no, but I don't want to hurt your feelings.
Right.
So maybe I'm going to be there, but really, no, I'm not going to be there. This means you've got 8 solids, but more than likely a lot of these people are coming.
Yes.
These 8 also are the people who are going to tell their friends to come who aren't a part of this list. So this is going to be more.
Yeah, every time one of them says they're going, it hits their friends list that they're going. And so it becomes that bridge of social. Now, when I blog it that it's going, I have it connected where it does hit as a new entry. My Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, my Twitter feed, my LinkedIn feed, my Google Plus page. And it looks like a brand new entry on each of those, not that I retweeted it or anything. It hits fresh from each of those locations.
And I think, and this is a little, it's on subject because it's about the session, but what I think is super important, and it's what Cynthia is really good at, it's what Eric and the Adams is really good at, is we love to respond to people who talk to us.
Yes.
And if you could just imagine, well, first of all, favorite band. Somebody tell me their favorite band. I'm talking national, huge, headlining band. Anybody?
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Metallica, okay? So say they are on social network and you mention something. You talk to them, you say anything to them. Twitter, Facebook, Google+, wherever they're at, you say something to them. Especially Twitter, this happens. And they respond to you. What happens to you? Right.
Special?
My friends, they responded.
You get
Right. And then you retweet the heck out of it. And then you actually screenshot that thing. And then you blast that everywhere. And then for me, I print the picture and I hang it in my office. And I'm like,
See that? You see that?
you know,
Yeah.
they know me. They don't know me, but they know me. It's how it made me feel. I mean, I was like flipping out. For me, it was Amy Grant, so whatever. But, you know, she's mine. She's mine. So the thing is, you are that person to someone.
I had to get used to that. I really did, because to me, I'm not that person to anyone. I really am just Cynthia.
Yeah.
But I let one of my friends from Gridiron come sing with me at one of my shows. It was late in the show, and she's like, I want to come sing with you sometime. I said, be at this gig, and you can come sing. And she hung out. She did not take me at my word. I said, if I said it, I meant it. And so I called her over. I said, come on over and sing with me. And she's like, what? I said, no, really, come on over. And we went through a couple of songs. She hit Twitter so fast. Squee! I was just singing with @SunSings Jazz. Oh my gosh!
Right. Right.
She I'm a total fangirl, and I'm going, was it that serious? That's really where I was, but I was thrilled because it hit my feed, it hit her feed, and it looked great. The other thing I had to get used to, pretend you're singing, Angel.
All right, I'm singing a song.
Click,
so
click,
cool.
or video.
Right.
Or this.
Yeah, that one would be like,
That is easier.
That's when you start.
I'll
the
be
hand behind
honest
the
with you,
back.
Casey, someone with a professional with a camera is easier than seeing a room full of iPhones and Androids pointed at you.
because you can't trust where those things are gonna go.
No, you're going, that again, I don't know you.
Right.
I don't know you to take my picture.
And so you had to get used to it. I was singing at Bodine Seafood the other night, and all of a sudden, my Twitter feed started to blow up because I always have my phone in front of me. It's the only thing I use for a clock. And so I hit it to see why. There was someone in the audience who found me on Twitter because I brand myself very simply as SMTULSA Jazz, as many places as I possibly can. And she found me. She started, I'm here, I'm listening to SMTULSA Jazz. She followed me immediately on Twitter. She started posting pictures. She started posting video. She found me on Instagram because I'm the same name there. She was posting video on Instagram. I immediately hit her entire, she had people all over the world liking posts, following me, and it was like, oh, this is really kind of cool. I found her immediately on my break and went and said, hi, it's really nice
Oh, yeah.
because, and we made that bond. I followed her back. We connected. And she was just thrilled. She thought I was just like the greatest thing since sliced bread. I was Wonder Bread in that moment.
And
that was when Wonder Bread was made with lard. And
to me, it is so worth. The thing is, when that happens, I mean, and we'll always feel like just Cynthia. You'll always feel like just Angel. But to somebody, you're more than that because you've done something to make them feel good about themselves. You've done something to make them care about themselves, or you've done something to heal a relationship, and you're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
You sang their song.
Yeah, but the fact is, the moment you connect with them and they think they realize that they are just as important to you as you are to them, they will follow you forever. Instant loyalty.
I have fans that when I see them in the audience, I immediately know there are songs I need to sing. And I do that. And when I do it, they immediately flip, pull out their phones. Cynthia Simmons, if I'm here on Facebook or at SMTULSA Jazz on one of the other platforms, is singing this song for me. That makes me look personable. That makes me look like I care, which I really do. But it pulls that part of my personality out into the social media realm because it makes me look as sincere as I really want people to know who I am. Now, if you are connected to me on these platforms, you also know, because I do let my personal bleed out, I'm the biggest smart aleck on the planet. I'm a sassy woman who will just say sometimes things without thinking about it.
Sass is a good word for her. Sass.
Sass. Hashtag sass.
Yes.
Yes. Now, something else I do, and these two, I try whenever I can remember to tag my musicians in here. And I do that because they have followers too.
Right.
Scott McQuaid, Nathan Eicher, Bill Crosby, whoever I'm playing with, and they are connected, I will tag them because they have their own fan base. The people that come are not necessarily coming to see me. I am not that big-headed. And if they are going to come and sit and listen to my bass player, I'm good with that because the goal for me in any venue is to get butts and seats.
Yeah.
And if I can do that via social media, that's
Butts and
awesome.
seats. Butts and
Butts and seats.
Butts
Make
and
that
seats.
fast.
Butts and seats.
Butts and seats.
There's your
Butts and
hashtag.
seats.
But it worked. The first time I was at Chow, and it took me a while to be able to break into being at Chow, because it was a well-established jazz venue.
Right.
And we were all crushed when they went out of business and closed. But it was, the first hurdle was, do you have 3 hours of music to sing? And you know, after going, yes, several times in a row, well, do you have a band? Yeah. Have you seen the guys I play with?
Right.
And so I get booked, and the owner at the time, she says to me, well, I probably am not going to be able to stay all night because, you know, it's been a really long day, but, you know, I want you to do the best. Here's where you can pick up your check at the end of the night. She never went home, and here's why. It was standing room only that night. She was bringing in chairs all night long. There were people who were standing at the back and never got to sit down. I couldn't leave a space that was this big. It was a good thing I didn't need to go take a potty break because I couldn't move. I was stuck where I was at the stage. Standing room only, first one. She was floored. She expected maybe half the room.
That was your first gig
That
there,
was
right?
my first restaurant gig ever and my first gig there.
In Tulsa?
In Tulsa.
This is what's crazy. Like we said at the very beginning, this woman is not from here and built her jazz career through social media. Her
That's
first
awesome.
gig in Tulsa, standing room only. She connected, she made connects, she engaged with people. What I love about her, everything she's been saying, she connects the venue, where you can connect to them. She connects to her bandmates, where you can connect to them. You know what she does is and this is what we do, this is why it crosses over, and it's not just a music thing.
Right.
You, as much as you hear I'm a self-made man, or I pulled myself up from my bootstraps and I did it all by myself. Now, I am all about taking that step and the risk and the bravery that's involved with that. But honestly, you can't do it by yourself. Without a band, she couldn't have gotten a gig, because I can tell you right now, in Tulsa, you can't get a gig unless, that's the first thing they ask you. Do you have a band? It happened to Eric Hyman, who was the front man for Eric and the Adams. He came in from Pennsylvania. He already had a pretty large national following. He came to Tulsa to live. He decided, well, you know what? I'm going to get to know Tulsa. I want to get to know the people here and become a part of this community. He started going to venues. Do you have a band? 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 Nope. X'd out of all of those venues. He's talented.
He is. He's a great
He started contacting people, but that guy wouldn't have busted out unless he had bandmates. So to become something on social media, you have to remember you have a network of people, a safety net of people. You can't do it on your own. That it's just so important to show thank you and gratitude, and honor those people who are risking for you, because they're taking that step to say, I trust you enough with my career.
To actually let you front and
when Eric Hyman sings jazz, if I became the drummer for you, I would be trusting her with the livelihood of my family.
Exactly.
Those people you honor. You take care of those people.
Absolutely do. Part of that is you pay them on time.
Definitely pay them on time.
You want to get loyalty, you pay them on time. Here's the other thing I do that not every musician does. Some musicians will open a group just for their fans. I do not do that, because that's a very closed thing. You have to join the group to know what's posted in the group. I don't want that. I want anybody in the public to see my stuff. I want people in Timbuktu to know that I am singing in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Because if they want to fly me to Timbuktu and pay for it, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to get on a plane and go. But they may not know that if I have it in a group that's closed.
Right.
So for some people, this feels intrusive. I also create my events on my personal page and not on my Sin Sings Jazz page. And the reason I do that, I have a bigger following here than I do on Sin Sings Jazz. Sing Sing's Jazz is growing, but it's probably at 250. I have almost 1,000 friends on Sing Sing, on my personal page. They are scattered all over the country and the world, but it's still 250, 1,000.
And you know what? That reflects the fact that they want to connect to a person.
Yes.
And the idea that they're going to get that retweet from Metallica someday. You know,
Yeah.
like it is a connection to a person and not your brand. I mean, your brand's important because that sends the consistency out there. That you know, if they see it, they know it connects them to everything about you. But when they see the person behind that is who they're going to connect with. That's who they hope to hear from.
People don't pay enough attention to these stats on their Facebook pages. So if you have a Facebook page, look at your stats. I had to learn what the heck they meant. Because I'm not a statistician. I hated that particular part of every degree I had to get. And it wasn't even related to social media, but I had to learn what they meant because they do tell me which post worked. What I learned from doing that is when I share something from somewhere else onto my page, it does not do nearly as well as when I go in by myself and type, hey guys, what's going on? I'm going to be here, come see me. I also utilize Foursquare. Those of you guys that follow me on Foursquare have probably seen a regular check-in if I'm singing, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does it say?
Sweet Jesus.
It's okay if you don't.
I don't remember.
It says showtime
Showtime.
with an exclamation point.
I'm old.
And I do it right at the top of the show. And that's what I want you to think, showtime!
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I'm doing. I've already told you, I'm singing here, I'm singing here, I'm singing here, I'm singing here. So at 6 o'clock on a Wednesday night at Main Street Tavern, you're going to get a Foursquare check-in that pushes out to both my Facebook and my Twitter, and it just says one word, showtime.
It's interesting, you know, I get your Facebook events all the time, and it's almost like, okay, I know that I want to catch Cynthia singing somewhere. So I'm like, oh, I can't make that one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can't. Oh, she's going to be at Smoke. That's closer to my house. So now I think about how do I plan my schedule so that I can go see her when she's close to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, it really
And
is.
I try and put them out in a timely enough time frame where people like Cheryl can do that. Because here's what I've learned, and not being a native Tulsa, I had to learn this. People that live in Midtown do not like to drive south. People that live south do not like to drive downtown.
And on the other hand, those listeners 3 hours away are just waiting for the time when you have a performance, and I'm going to be in Tulsa anyway.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
See, there you go.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes I will, when I did my summer stage show at the PAC, I hit everybody on my freaking FB list. I didn't care where they lived, everybody got an invite.
Yeah.
Because this was a big deal. I'm at the Tulsa PAC and summer stage. It was a one-time thing over the summer. I think you need to come see me. Now, for restaurant gigs, I don't usually hit my people out of town. I've got a huge network in Oklahoma City because I grew up there. But I've also got networks that have scattered all out over the country. When I did that, though, because I did broadcast it, I had friends who came from Kansas City, friends who came from Oklahoma City, friends who came from California, people came from all over.
And
then I
it
had
was a
all my
phenomenal
Tulsa.
show.
You're so
It was
sweet.
an awesome show.
Now, I'm going to tell you the best thing about that moment. I was driving down Cincinnati
And see
and
your
looking up and
picture.
going, squeak! I'm on the big, Bill, my picture was up on the big
That's so
scrolling
awesome.
board.
I
It was
think
awesome.
I think I took a picture out of the convertible.
Yeah, it was
Like,
awesome.
oh my God.
There I was. Yeah, it was awesome. I was going down at night with my daughter. I picked her up from Drillers because she'd been there for a band event. And we were walking, and I knew about when to expect it because I knew it was supposed to be up. And we were in the middle of traffic, Ryder just flat out stopped. But
Oh yeah.
I went, Lexi, look, it was awesome. Because it was like, oh my gosh, that's me, my whole image, diva gown and all, which is part of my image, up on this, lit up billboard. And at night, it's bright outside the PAC, telling people, hey, come see me.
You guys saw the? Did you see the movie when it came out, or it's an older movie, but that thing you do, Tom Hanks, that thing you do, that scene in that film where they hear their music on the radio for the first time, and they all are from different parts of town, like racing in their car, running down the street because they all know that if this one guy works at this one place and they have radios there. So they all get there and they turn all the radios on and they're dancing and screaming and just swirling around. Yeah, that was her moment.
That was my moment.
That's the moment she wanted to share with everyone.
And I immediately, as soon as I could pull the car over, I had my phone out and was tweeting and posting. I just, I think I did post sweet. I think that was the first word that I pulled out, yeah.
What's fun about that is you have such a great relationship with your, and for us, we were really, fans, but they really become your friends.
They do become my friends.
And that's what you want to share with them. For us, for Eric and the Adams, it was the time we got to play Kane's Ballroom.
Oh.
I grew up here. So
Yes.
my brother and I mean, the moment they said Kane's, and he's like 6'3", the moment they said we would be playing Kane's, I watched him buckle. Like he was like, whoa. And I was just like, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm not going to be able to do it. But that was our moment.
Yes.
That we blasted to
everybody. You tell everybody.
Because it's a friend thing, and they are going to be excited. And to throw a little bit on the negative side of that, if you are blasting to everybody all the time,
yes,
this is what happens to your feed. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in Sacramento, California, I can't make it. Oh, if I could drive this far, blah, blah, I wouldn't be able to be there. Everything's negative.
That is why I don't blast everything to people in Oklahoma City, and to people in Kansas City, and to people in California. Now, if you've ever created a Facebook event, you know that to invite people, you go down person by person,
so annoying.
by person. And so I have mastered, I go in at a group at a time. Facebook groups are a wonderful thing because you can look at your group, and I've got a group that says Tulsa. Everybody in that group gets an invite. I've got a group that says Broken Arrow. Everybody in that group gets an invite. And then I can go in, I've got my SMTULSA group will get an invite. And people that I know are local get an invite, and then I can go through and go, okay, no, this person has moved, don't want to invite them. This person used to live here, but now they're in Philadelphia, that's not going to work. And you go through, you have to use your brain. This cannot be on autopilot.
Perfect phrase, quote unquote, people I know. She knows everyone in her list, she knows everyone in her groups, she knows every friend. If she didn't, then she would be inviting the wrong people to the wrong things. She knows them. Oh, so-and-so was here, but they've moved to Philadelphia. If she didn't care about that person, hadn't connected with that person, she wouldn't know that. And then that person would be like, Sin, really, I was your biggest fan, and you don't even know I moved to Philadelphia? I don't want to be friends with you anymore. It's super important. Knowing your audience is so super important. They don't care about you.
They don't care. And I have unfriended people for that same reason. I'll admit it, which is why it's important to me that I pay attention to the people that I'm connected with. The other thing I've done is after a show, you post pictures. This was from last night. John did this for me. John is an administrator on this page because it's very hard to post a picture of yourself singing when you're singing.
Got that.
A selfie doesn't always work when you're trying to get a note, remember lyrics, and so I'm fortunate in that, but I rarely am always, John's like the only person that's taking pictures. That's why I had to get used to the Androids and the iPhones popping up in the audience, because everybody was started posting pictures and posting to my page, which is why I made it open to the public. You can't do that in a group if you're not a part of the group, right? I want everybody to post pictures. If you're at my show and you take a picture of me, I'm cool with it. If you want to take a picture with me, people say, is it okay if I post it on Facebook and tag you? Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Tag it, share it with everybody. I'm good with that.
The cool thing about doing that, or allowing people to do that for you, is that there's two things that happen on your page. Is you have negative people. I mean, there are people that will post, you didn't play my song, sound was horrible. You respond to those because you want to take care of those people. But then you have people who post, that was the best thing that's ever happened to me, this was wonderful. You can like it, okay? But don't just like it, because if you're just liking those and not responding to them with an actual post, an actual I care, an actual thank you, then all that's going to happen are people are just going to post negative. Because that's the only thing they're getting any answers to. So
People say,
always,
I'm
always.
here, I'm listening to Sin Sings Jazz or Cynthia Simmons, just blowing away this song, and I'll go, it's great to see you tonight, I'm glad you came out.
Yeah,
And sometimes I do it right when I'm sitting up there.
which will flip them out. So I know they gave us a.
Yeah, I missed that. The other thing is make your post personal.
Yep. Right on.
Yeah,
Personal. And you look good in it.
that was a good day.
You guys, thank you very much for coming
Thank
in.
you.